recording in progress. Our agenda today includes going over completing our conversation around the name change discussion. And then Mara is going to give us an overview of the work plan and timeline for 2026. It's a pretty fantastic document that she's put together. And then, of course, we'll have time for a public comment. Mara, do you want to start with roll call? Or do you want me to?
Absolutely. So there's our agenda. So do we have Stacy. Do we have Blue?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Haven?
I'm here.
Yay. Mariah is unable to join us this morning. Adam?
Here.
Great. Eric?
I'm here, guys. How's it going?
Good morning. Janine? I think I saw Gigi this morning. Dharma? Okay. Jenna?
Present.
Good morning. Claudia? All right. Amy?
Good morning.
Good morning. Naomi? Hers overlaps with another meeting, so she'll be here in a little bit. Scott?
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. Serafina?
Good morning. Made it. Grateful to be here.
You made it. Amazing. And Crescencia?
Good morning here.
Awesome. Perfect.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Glad that you're here. And thanks, Mara, for doing roll call. I think we can just transition right over to Annalise for director updates. Annalise, do you have updates you want to share with the group?
Oh, shoot. Mara, we fixed Serafina's name. I was trying to quickly fix Serafina's name before I was up and I misspelled it. Serafina. Hey, everyone. Annalise Dahl, director at the ADPC. I have very few updates this week, or this month, I guess I should say. Last month, the full commission met hybrid. Some of us were in person in Salem, which was great. It was Monday of the second week of session. Later that week, Oregon Recovers had their biggest rally ever in Salem. So it was nice to have kind of a week of continued presence in Salem. And I know several of you were there. And we're there testifying on some bills as well. So we really focused last month on, to remember now, legislative updates. OHA Behavioral Health came to report out on the latest status of Measure 110 in the Behavioral Health Resource Networks. Next month in March, we have one new commissioner coming on board. Our juvenile director position has been filled, so we're excited about that. We'll wrap up the legislative short session, and we are tentatively going to hear from OHA on the rural health transformation grants in March. The opioid settlement board news, for those of you who don't know, I also co-chair the state opioid settlement board. We are turning in March to figure out how to allocate our final tranche of funding for this biennium. We initially gave funding to Save Lives Oregon, and then in January we were supposed to have a retreat to discuss what we were going to do this biennium, but instead focused on whether to fill gaps associated with the decreasing cannabis revenue for the burn programs. So that was that. So now in March, we are finally turning to that. There is always public comment at that meeting. I will share with folks if folks are interested in that, or if you want to pass public comment on through me, I'm happy to pass it on to the rest of the board as well about how the rest of that funding should be spent. So that is Opioid Settlement Board. In ADPC staffing news, I am extremely excited to announce, and I'm putting her a little bit on the spot, but our new administrative staff started yesterday. Ashley Olson, who's joining us today. This is her first committee meeting. Ashley, do you want to take just a second to introduce yourself? No pressure.
Sure. Can you hear me okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley, she, her pronouns. I live in Eugene, and I am transitioning to the ADPC from the Higher Education Coordinating Commission. I supported the Oregon Youth Works Advisory Board and sometimes the Oregon Serves Commission. So it's really great to be here. I appreciate your patience in advance for this learning curve. I'm taking it all in, and for now, I'll just be taking notes and getting to know all of you. So it's really nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. We're very excited to have Ashley on board. And those of you who are commissioners, I'm sure will be relieved too. I won't be your admin anymore, so that'll be great. But we'll give her a little bit of time to come on board. The only other thing I have on my list to talk about is legislative update. I think folks in this group are probably most tracked Senate Bill 1573. I know I had kind of individual conversations with some of you about that related to syringe service programs. A silver lining maybe to that bill, I will say, is I think on kind of government side, everybody was pretty much on the same page about the policy implications of that bill and the problems with that. So that bill did not move forward. There were a couple other bills. I'll just mention real quick that folks in this group might have been tracking as well. Senate Bill 1583 and House Bill 4139, both of which affect the Measure 110 burn program and or funding. Senate Bill 1583 did not have a work session, but House Bill 4139, I will just flag that one because it is still in Ways and Means. And that one would further decrease the amount of money that comes to the behavioral health resource networks because it would take more cannabis revenue for the illegal marijuana enforcement program. A little bit weedy, but just highlighting that for folks. Most of the bills that we're still keeping an eye on are more like healthcare system related. The governor's House Bill 4083, the Behavioral Health Talent Council bill, which directs OHA to produce a uniform credentialing portal. That bill is on its way to final approval. House Bill 4070 is one we're still tracking, which has a whole lot of behavioral health provisions in it. So that is our high level update. I see there's, oh, you got it. Perfect. And, you know, always welcome folks if you want to have a little bit of sharing time from your perspective or from your association. I know you guys do have a lot on your plate today, but I'll just put that out there if that works, and I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Annalise. Questions or sharing? Okay, great. Y'all know where to find Annalise if you have questions or comments after this. Just email her directly. Okay, I think that we can move on to the next part of our agenda now, which is following up on our name change conversation from last month. So just as a very brief review, at the end of 2025, we as a group acknowledged that due to lots of concerns, we needed to change the name of this work group. And so we engaged in a process. Maura did lots of work individually with everyone to talk through potential name changes. And then in January, we worked as a group for the first time all together to think through potential changes and had a good amount of time to process our thoughts and concerns related to the change, and then also come up with some new names. And really where we left off was that we needed a little bit more time to refine after the first conversation. So Mara sent a poll at the beginning of February, on February 6th, and we actually had 18 people complete it, and that's awesome. And we had a name that kind of rose to the top. So the slides will come up in just a second. And then just as a reminder, when Mara sent out that poll, she had a couple of extra pieces that she added in the message, which were around we were avoiding using some specific names, including prevention, treatment, and recovery, because those are used in other ADPC committees, and also eliminated some options that expanded the scope of the group, and that included alternative care and evidence-based modalities. So just trying to be as clear as possible. If you didn't see that, those options, that could potentially have been the reason why. And so here you can see the results from the poll. So we'll just pause. I think we can, I counted 18 people voted, and it looks like we had a pretty significant group who wanted the health and safety interventions as the name. So what we would like to do today is move forward and vote, hoping to vote on the health and safety interventions as the name moving forward for this group. Before we vote, I'd like to just open it up for a conversation and any concerns and any feedback before we vote.
I just need to say for the record that while I agree with doing this and it needs to be done, I hate it and it makes my heart hurt. And I want to name that, like, we are harm reduction in our hearts and in our minds, regardless of the language we use to talk about it.
Thank you, Haven. And we have some folks who, of course, agree in the chat. Any other comments or concerns?
I'm just curious if you're able to share the text that we can't see. I think a couple of these, I see some dots, and I didn't know if there was anything else in there.
There were some more. Mara, are you able to expand it over? Or
I'm not able to expand it. This is just a screenshot, but I can get the other ones really quickly. But it means I have to sign into Google, so give me just a few minutes.
Yep. Those look like blue, those look like maybe ones that there was on the form, there were some options for people to write in their own requests or thoughts around names. So I bet you that's what those are. Mm-hmm. So some of these were pre-populated with what the group came up with in January. And then there was an option Mara gave us to add in your additional ideas for names. So that's my assumption for those two.
Yep. The first three are the ones that we came up with from January. And then the second three are write-ins, suggestions. I have too many windows open.
While Mara's doing that, are there any other concerns or questions?
I did see something in the chat that there's an existing public health and public safety group by HIDTA, HIDTA. I don't know if that's a concern.
HIDTA.
It's HIDTA.
That is HIDTA.
Yeah, sorry, that was my comment. Just so that you know, there is a group that's like a community-led group of different people in kind of harm reduction space, but it's called Public Health and Public Safety. I think I need to pull it up. It's kind of similar, just so that people might get confused, but not a big deal.
Thank you. Is that one of our? Is that an OHA run group? No,
it's run by HIDTA, but it does have
OHA
participation. I'm with OHA, and I sit on it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
HIDA is the High Intensity Drug
Intensity drug, right?
Trafficking Agency. It's a federally funded agency that focuses on high trafficking corridors. I think to Orion's point, anything that has public safety in it is maybe going to have some of those connotations.
Okay. Mara, you're still pulling those up, which is totally fine. Take your time. I think we're probably, yeah, no, take your time. I think based upon the chat and what folks are saying, it feels like we are ready to move forward with the vote. Or Blue, did you want to see those, the full titles first?
If it's possible, if it's too much of a hassle, then no.
I'm almost there.
She's almost there.
It's two-factor authenticating me.
Oh, those are always the worst. I do want to just thank everyone for taking the time to vote, and for all the behind the scenes work that Mara has given to this process. And while she's pulling it up, talk about pressure, Mara. Sorry.
I know. And Mara, I'm just I can read it out loud to people.
Yeah, why don't you read it out loud?
Copying it.
Yeah.
The last one is, and it looks like this was one suggestion, so I don't know what y'all want to do with that. Community, and if somebody wants to volunteer and explain. Community Health Promotion and Safety Subcommittee, Health Impact, Outcomes, and Safety Subcommittee, Injury, Infection, and Overdose Prevention Subcommittee.
Thanks, Annalise.
And then the one above it, if you want me to read that one too, said, I think should promote policies that protect our right to provide harm reduction services and stick by the name so as not to promote the erasure of harm reduction or to undermine the integrity of the work that we do. While it is just a name change, I feel like it is an inappropriate endorsement of anti-science and anti-recovery rhetoric that I don't feel is in line with the charge of the subcommittee. So that one I think is just a no vote.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And they're in the chat now as well. Thanks, Mara and Annalise. And for the question, Blue. Any thoughts or comments and reflections after learning more about what those thoughts meant? Go ahead, Serafina.
Yeah, my only thing is that I just don't want our name to be a huge mouthful. And I know we want to explain what we do, but I also don't want it to be so much that it's like really a lot to say. So just keeping that into consideration. And I know we had talked about the public safety piece, and really there was a thoughtful approach, I feel like, with us intentionally not using public, right? So within the health and safety interventions, we're still leaning in that direction, but also leaving it broad enough. And that's one piece that I like.
Thank you. I think we can probably bring the slide back up because it shows the name. Serafina, I appreciate that reflection and saying it out loud. All right, so here's the slide. I'd like to propose that we move forward with voting on the health and safety intervention as the new name. And Mara is much better versed in the 5 voting method. So can I hand it over to you, Mara, for the next steps?
Absolutely. So here is a reminder of what 5 means. Can you see the top of that? Okay.
I can. Can everyone else? Okay.
Amazing. So what's going to happen is Stacy has just proposed that we vote for health and safety interventions as our name. In a moment, I'm going to call for a vote. And here is what all of the hand signals mean. 0 is like, absolutely not. I'm going to block this. 1, I have strong reservations and we need to continue to talk about it. 2, I'm uncomfortable with it. I can live with it, but we still need to talk about it. 3, this is okay for me. 4, I support this. 5, I would be the spokesperson for this decision. So we're trying to come to a consensus. We're not trying to get everybody to a 5. If everybody is at a 3 or higher, we have reached consensus. If anybody is lower than a 3, we go back into discussion and we discuss until we feel like we can come up with a decision. So, Stacy, can you propose the name change again, and then I will call for the fist to 5.
Sure thing. So the proposed name change is to the Health and Safety Interventions. So it would be the ADPC Subcommittee on Health and Safety Interventions.
All right. Can everybody give me their fist to 5 so I can see where we're at? Sorry, and this was for voting members only. Thank you. Awesome. I think that passes where everyone's at 3 or higher. Okay, amazing. We have a new name. We are now the ADPC Committee on Health and Safety Interventions. Amazing.
Nicely done, everybody. And I will just continue to say, every meeting that harm reduction is still where we're at. Haven, channeling your much more eloquent words earlier today and at the last meeting. So we'll continue to hold that. Great.
Annalise says it in the chat. New name, same work. Yep.
Nicely done. Okay.
And we will bring this to the commission as a whole as our next meeting, just to let them know and have them make sure that it goes through as well.
Yeah, thanks for that I kind of forgot about that next step after this meeting. So thank you, Laura. Okay. Let's continue with our agenda. It almost feels like we should have a break after that, but we're going to continue to go forward. And the next piece, we can bring the slides up. Mara, I've tried to make this as exciting as possible. Yay, but it's time for us to update our bylaws. And so, yep. It's not, it is exciting. I'm sure to some people have different perspectives on this. But what we'd like to do is see if there are a few people who'd like to meet and ad hoc to the ad hoc work group to make some recommendations. The focus areas that what we'll be focusing on are aligning with the full commission changes, review our scope, and the name and language change. So we were hoping that by having a smaller group, kind of go through the nitty gritty and then bring back some recommendations to this group, we might be able to best leverage everyone's time and expertise. So what we're looking for today is anyone who would be interested in joining a smaller ad hoc work group that would meet before the March meeting, where we'll be having a longer discussion around our bylaws. So you don't have to say yes now, but if it feels interesting to you, let Mara know. You can let her know now, but you can let Mara know I'll be in that work group as well. So anyone else who is interested in joining to do some prep work around our bylaws to prepare for this larger group, we'd love to have you join us. Mara, did I cover everything for that part?
I think so. I think we're going to meet 1 to 2 times, depending on if we can get everything done in the first meeting, then we'll cancel the second meeting, and we'll just bring the recommendations to the group as a whole in the March meeting. But this is, as Stacy said, just like the nitty gritty things that can be worked out outside of public meeting time.
So no decisions. Just getting like kind of sifting through so that we can bring the most important pieces back to this group.
I have a question.
Oh yeah.
When are we?
You're a little bit quiet.
Sorry, is this a little bit better?
Yeah, it is. That's great. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
When do you think that this ad hoc group will be meeting?
Yeah, so I have some times picked off of Stacy's and mine's schedule. So I've got like options for the 3 weeks in between our meeting. So whoever would like to join this group, we can figure that out between the group of us. I don't have like a set date right now, so I figured we would figure it out right after this meeting.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to, because I would say yes, I would like to join, but I am on vacation from the 23rd to the 30th.
We can work with that. I'd be happy to flex my schedule totally.
Okay.
Is that spring break? That's spring break.
Yeah.
That's a great call out.
Yeah.
I think I'm on vacation too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
I would love to join this group. I think it would give me a little more information and just understanding, and just I would like to be part more. Yeah.
That's great.
For more. Yes. I would
Awesome.
like to join the ad hoc work group.
Thank you so much.
Write your name down, Crescencia. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's a good call out because our meeting is the 24th.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, well, if anyone else is interested, we have a couple now other things to figure out, it sounds like. But yes. Okay, great. Thank you. And I appreciate this slide, trying to make it as exciting as possible. Thank you, Mara. All right, so since there isn't anyone else who's really excited at this very moment to jump in, just think about it, let it percolate a little bit. And if you want to join us, let Mara know, please. We'd love to have you. Any other questions about this part of the agenda?
No, I volunteered to help as well.
Okay,
so
great.
let Mara knows and we'll directly coordinate whatever that looks like.
Okay, great. Blue.
Thank you. I can't see the chat right now, so thank you.
Is there another name change, or I just saw that it says name/language change? Or is that part just already been done?
Nope, we're just going to incorporate our name change and like the language into what it says because you know, we use harm reduction as a noun and a verb. So it's going to take some wordsmithing to be able to say like this committee does this and this is the work that we're doing with changing the language.
Okay, thank you.
It's a great question. Thanks for asking. Okay, thanks, Haven. Any other questions before we transition on? I think my chat is a little bit delayed, so if I'm not getting to if I don't see it, please just raise your hand and speak out, just in case the chat's not coming through. I don't think mine is totally coming through. Okay, I think we can move on to the next portion of our agenda, if that's okay with everyone. All right. So the intention for the rest of our time together is to circle back to our work plan and share the timelining from planning to process. So do a little bit of refreshing about what we've done to get to this point today, and then what our 2026 year as of right now is hopefully going to look like. And Mara is going to walk us through the timeline, strategies, making sure that we're really connecting the work that we're doing right now to the work plan that we developed, so that we have a kind of a clear path forward for our next 10 months together. So Mara, do you want to take over?
Absolutely. So as Stacy said, basically we are going to spend some time talking about the whole process sort of from start to finish. So a reminder of where we came from, sort of pause in the space that we're in right now, and then like a looking forward to what this year is going to look like. This will be obviously a refresher for many of you. It'll probably be some new information for some of you, but I think it's really helpful for us to be grounded in a lot of the same information for us to really move forward and be the most effective with our use of time. So many of you will remember this timeline, and it comes from last year. This is where we started in the timeline of the comprehensive planning process. So last year, 2024, we organized the committees and we prepared. In January, we did cultural community engagement. Throughout most of the year, we did community engagement. We, looked at the strategies, we developed the actions and measurements. And then we developed the dashboard, we did our town halls, and in January, our plan came to fruition, and now we are going to begin our implementation process. So these were the strategies for our group, for health and safety interventions group, that we developed as a team together. So this is what we agreed on, these strategies. Develop and fund a statewide strategy for the purchase and distribution of short-acting overdose reversal medications such as naloxone, which will ensure access in rural areas and include education strategies to ensure proper administration and dosage during overdose emergencies. So we have a naloxone strategy. And now that I'm saying this out loud, I don't want to read all of this. So basically, the first one was a naloxone strategy, and the second one was ensuring access to harm reduction and injury prevention services, utilizing specific actions such as incentivizing existing programs to provide mobile services, and utilizing the connections that we already have in the space, like FQHCs, which is federally qualified health centers, and health departments, to sort of expand their use of health and safety interventions across the state. The third one was a statewide drug checking strategy that's available at the state, regional, and community levels. So that's, from top to bottom, what's available at the state level, what's available at the community level, what's available at the individual level, and sort of looking at that as a system. And the last one is cross-sector education. So providing some education to various populations, whether that be directly to the clients that y'all serve, or to treatment providers or physicians, whoever this is, like whatever education we feel needs to be shared with specific populations. So these strategies, you have seen these strategies in many iterations for the last year. You've seen them in memos, you've seen them in the dashboard, you've seen them on our website, you've seen them like from start to finish. You have seen these, and these are what we've been talking about and what we are going to be implementing. This, we sort of wanted to remind you that there's like a continuum here of like where the documents have gone. They've gone through, as I've said, many versions, many iterations. You've seen these words in development and on many different pages and in many different forms. So this is sort of the way that I think about this. And I'm sorry, I can't see the chat. So if someone has a question, can you just...
There is one question. I'll just jump in, Mara. Is communicable disease testing part of the injury prevention strategies embedded in these buckets of work? Oh, and then my question can wait. Sorry, Anne. Oh, yeah. Do you want to answer that, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, absolutely. So there we have connection to communicable disease testing and whatever the comprehensive definition is going to look like for this. That is definitely a piece of that. So a lot of this, and we'll get into this in a couple of slides about what this year is going to look like. And I hope that will help answer that question. So just thank you, Anne, for your continued dedication to coming to this meeting and to being our partner in communicable disease. Yes, so this is sort of the way that I'm thinking about this. Stacy mentioned the work plan, which is this very large smart sheet document that all of the staff members for our commission have been working on to get a timeline, get individual actions, get partners for individual actions, get all of the people, places, and things in place to be able to define how we're going to move these things forward and prioritize them. Because as a reminder, this is a 5-year plan, so we can't do everything right out of the gate, and we're not going to get everything done in year 1. So that's where we're at right now in terms of document development, is the work plan. I'm going to be sharing with you like in very intentional pieces of the work plan because it is very large. And I don't think it's a good use of our time to go through this document in this space. So I will be sharing with you this information, but I just wanted to show you this development of how we got here. We started with the foundational materials that had some of the studies and the research that have been done in the state. So like the financial analysis, the gaps analysis, all of these things that we discussed and we took pieces from to make recommendations. And I also was thinking about this in the foundational materials. This group already had a leg up because a lot of our the strategies that we ended up utilizing came from the 2023 recommendations that were made, overdose recommendations that were made from this group to the governor's office directly. So we've been working on these strategies for a very long time. We had the foundational materials, including those recommendations, to the governor's office. We had our committee discussions for about a year, right? We talked about each strategy and how we wanted to develop it. We had those priority memos, which went out to which went out to the community, which were shared through our website. They were developed by Third Horizon, our contractor, and they were put out in sort of in a plainer language to be able to for a larger audience. And then we worked those into the dashboard, which was that spreadsheet that had sort of our near, mid, and long-term metrics of like how we would know that the process was successful or we needed to pivot. We also have an executive summary that we distributed. It's also on our website that shares all of these things, all of our strategies, the process. We talk about the community engagement that we did. So all of that is available. And then we're utilizing all of these things to do the work plan, which has, as I said, the timeline, the prioritization, and who's doing what pieces here and there. But Stacy mentioned that it was really important for us to see this as like a continuum, that like all of these documents say the same thing. There's nothing new. It's just for a different audience or for a different moment in time. So,
should we see if there's any questions, Mara?
Yes,
any
please.
concerns or questions? Okay.
Thank you. So, what I'm sort of naming this year is setting the table. So this 5-year plan, as I mentioned, is, and as Annalise has put it many times, is this 5-year plan is setting us up for the next 5-year plan, which is setting us up for the next 5-year plan. So this is like, we're in this for the long haul, and we got to start somewhere. So we've started here, and we have our strategies, and there's only so much that we can do in 5 years. There's only so much we can do in 3 years. There's only so much we can do in 1 year. So this year, I'm sort of thinking about it as setting the table. We're going to be doing a lot of like ground level work, starting in a place, looking at what already exists before we are able to look forward and say what we want to exist, really taking into consideration where we are, and trying to be as nimble as possible in if we have to pivot or if we have to move in a different direction or whatever that looks like. But I'm really thinking about this, and I hope that everyone can get in this mind space with me, is we're setting the table for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. With that said, this is what I'm proposing as the year one work timeline. As I mentioned, we can't prioritize everything. So some of the stuff that you see here, we're not going to work on every single thing, every single strategy, every single activity that we have put in our action plan. This year is going to be a lot about, as I said, setting the table, looking at what we've got, and making decisions based on what we've got, where we want to go in the future. So here is my proposed timeline. We've spent these first 2 months talking about our name change and our timeline, working on this together. In March, we're going to be talking about the bylaws, as we mentioned, and our scope. All of the other committees have talked about their scope as well. So this is just a conversation. It's time to talk about our bylaws. That's what we're going to do. In April, we are going to talk about naloxone. And I think we're going to be spending a lot of time laying out, this year we're doing this with naloxone. Next year we can focus on that. The year after that, we can focus on that. So I just want to say that it might feel slow, but this is intentional. It's intentional for us to be getting, to be setting the table so that when we put the food down, you're not putting the food down directly on the table and you're going to burn it. Do you know what I mean? We're setting a trivet down. We're putting a tablecloth. We're putting a charger plate, whatever that looks like in your brain. I don't want to move too fast and take something directly. Sorry, this is a metaphor. Take something directly out of the oven, put directly on a wooden table, and then burn it forever, and then we can't move forward, right? So that is how I'm thinking about this, is setting the table. Naloxone in April. In May, June, and July, we're going to do some cross-sector education work. August, September, October, focusing on drug checking. There's some things going through right now that hopefully we'll have a better understanding of where we are in the state by then. And then November and December, looking at like an informal assessment, like looking back at what we've done over the year, tying up loose ends, and then looking forward, saying like, do we need to pivot? Excuse me. Do we need to keep pushing forward, etc. In those last 2 months, without being too ambitious. So I have some further breakdown of what this is probably going to look like, but does anyone have any questions off the jump right now? Questions, comments, concerns?
Just for clarification, go ahead, Luke.
Oh, thanks. I don't know if I missed it or if you're going to get into just a little bit more details on what cross-sector education means.
Yep.
And if you are getting into it, then keep going. I just wasn't clear.
Yep,
Thanks,
that is my next slide, but I just want to make sure. Hayden.
Just for clarification, is this kind of in line with what other working groups or subcommittees are doing in terms of breaking down their, are we in alignment with the other subcommittees with our kind of timeline pacing, thinking through this work?
Yeah, I think there are similarities and there are differences based on what each committee has focused on to do. Prevention has work that has been sort of like assigned by the legislature. So that is, they're going to work on that. Treatment has, Annalise, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Mara.
No
I
worries.
didn't want to interrupt you. I was just going to add a little bit of context. Some of you have heard me say this already. Every committee is taking on too much. So I will say that. We did go through a prioritization process across all of the work to develop the work plan to really focus on the first 2 years to figure out what's doable given the current budget situation, political environment, changing federal, etc. So that has influenced this. And then we presented that to the governor in December to get governor's okay. So part of what Mara is alluding to here is behind the actual work plan is a smart sheet with thousands of lines of actions assigned to each of the state agencies. Which is, why that's not in front of you. So, I think every committee is doing as much as they can, probably 2 to 3. Treatment is taking on a lot, but 2 to 3 topics is about what each committee is taking on, if that's helpful.
Awesome.
It's helpful to know there's a prioritization process
Yes.
similar across the different groups. That's great.
Yes, all of the staff participated in a prioritization process and worked together to say like, oh, that works here and that works here. But some of this, Haven, to your point, and Blue, to your point as well, this is sort of what I'm looking at in terms of like what the committee is going to do. There is a lot of stuff that I am doing behind the scenes. So there will be things that I bring to you. There will be things that opportunities for engagement outside of the committee work that that I will bring to you. I will bring you updates. There will be all sorts of things. This is sort of by topic, my thought process. So I'll come back to naloxone. Cross-sector education, to answer your question, Blue. What I really would like is for this group to like list and rank populations for targeted education materials. So for y'all to decide who needs harm reduction, health and safety intervention material. What populations need to hear your recommendations the most? Is it physicians? Is it residential treatment providers? Is it recovery centers? Is it who is it that needs the information? And then this is where working with the other committees is going to be essential, because some of them are also taking on material dissemination or education programs, and working with them on timelines so that we're not bombarding one population with too much information, or whether that's putting out a partnered piece of material, whatever that looks like. If we want our group to put out like a subsection of our newsletter, whatever this looks like, the cross-sector education piece is going to take a lot of this like planning piece. So that's where I see the cross-sector education coming in, and that's why I see it taking a significant amount of time, because if this is something that we want to put out on a regular basis, or if this is like as needed, like all of these are decisions that this group is going to make for the cross-sector education. And whether that's we develop our own materials, or if we just say we really like Save Lives Oregon's version of naloxone training, or we really like the National Harm Reduction Coalition's version of this how to use safely pamphlet, whatever that looks like. If we want to promote materials, or if we want to create our own based on other materials, like that is a lot of the process here. And this is something, as setting the table, we're saying, how often are we doing this? And Are we giving recommendations to other committees to pass on to their people? Are they giving recommendations to us? All of this is going to be like really collaborative. So that I hope that answers your question, Blue. And does that bring up any other questions? I'm sorry, y'all. I can't see the chat.
Aren't any other questions? Haven commented she's appreciated
Awesome.
just knowing that we're not getting out ahead of ourselves. And then I was just, as you were talking, thinking about how it might be helpful for us to share a little bit about the communication with the other work groups and how we are maximizing each group's like expertise and timeline. So just thinking about that.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mara before she continues? Okay, good one.
So just the other two things that I had mentioned was with naloxone. I know that this is a priority for this group. This group has let me know that naloxone is a priority for. So this is something that I have, prioritized as the highest. And so there will be a lot of work done both in committee and on the back end on my end. So my thought process here is we're starting somewhere, which is ensuring that our partner agencies, our 14 partner agencies, are purchasing naloxone and distributing it within best practice. So not all of them are doing that. So this is going to be I think at least a year-long process for these 14 partner agencies for me to go to them and to say, are you purchasing naloxone? Would you like to purchase naloxone? If you would like to purchase naloxone, do you need any assistance in purchasing naloxone? Do you know where to get it? Do you know how to work through MCAP? Do you know how to work through Save Lives Oregon? And all of those things that come with that. I'm anticipating, I see you, Serafina, give me just a second. I'm anticipating that there will be many agencies that will need some technical assistance from us, whether that be model policies for incorporating naloxone into their physical spaces or best practice for distribution. And that is our responsibility to provide those recommendations to those agencies. And after that, we will decide who's next, right? We're starting with our partner agencies at the state level, because that's the priority. And then we will move forward from there and we will get to decide, who's next essentially on that list. I saw Serafina first and then Haven.
Okay, couple of things. I love this because I think naloxone is just kind of the basic first element of reducing harm. And we know it saves lives. It has been our specialty since the onset of the beginning of our organization and just always been near and dear to my heart because I can't tell you how many of our employees, let alone individual community members, that still come up to me today that say your naloxone saved our lives. I don't think I know who all of the 14 partner agencies are at a state level, and I would love to know that. And then just thinking about that next step moving forward when we talk about providing technical assist, because we have been at the forefront of training throughout the state and we're so passionate about it. I would love, and I know there's other people on this call as well, but just knowing like who's in our area that we could help support and kind of walk through that process as they are developing this deeper understanding. I would love to be a part of that.
100%. Thank you, Serafina. That's really helpful. Haven.
I am curious if under the naloxone bucket, we should not be or could we possibly be looking at how we are reporting naloxone being distributed? Even within OHA, we're having getting different messaging on how we report out the naloxone we distribute. Like burns, historically, we reported all naloxone distributed through our burn funding. As of this grant cycle, we're only reporting on naloxone that is paid for by burn funding. So there's no good way to actually, I think we should be thinking about how we are actually measuring this, because I think Right now, most of it is being measured through grant funding, which means if those things are not aligned, we're both undercounting and possibly overcounting, depending on the funding stream. So like I know there's a bunch of naloxone that is not being counted that I purchase anywhere at the state as a nonprofit. Um, we're not really, I think we need to be thinking about if we're going to be putting in this work, if we are going to be spending state dollars on these services, how do we then make sure that our accounting is correct in order to justify?
Yes, that is incredible. Yeah, yes, you are totally right. That is something that definitely needs to be considered in the process. And Annalise, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is a space that we can provide recommendations on how this group thinks we should be accounting for those things. We have the ability to say to the agencies and the people who are spending the state dollars, like, we need to be this is how we recommend that you track this. We have that ability.
Yeah. And this, I mean, I'll just add, so we're kind of thinking of this from the state agency perspective, that we're doing this overarching state agency spending analysis, all the SUD spending across the state agencies. This was done by a contractor in 21-23. So now we're bringing it in-house for 23-25. There's two areas that we're doing like deeper dive. So most of it'll just be like, this is what the money was spent on. But in primary prevention, we're directed to do a deeper level analysis. We have a contractor to do it for 33-21. And then naloxone spending is the other piece. So like, we'll get who's spending, and then we can dive deeper, I think, on all these points. Like, how are you distributing? How are you making your decisions? Probably it varies by program, by agency, by division. And then we can make recommendations back to the agencies for improvement going forward.
Great. This is an awesome conversation and gives me so many more things to add to the work plan. So 1,012 lines now. And then the final thing that I have listed here is drug checking. And again, I want to reiterate that this year I'm saying is like about setting the table. We are gonna look at and discuss the current system, what it looks like from top to bottom, from left to right. Finding out, and this is where I'm going to need a lot of input from y'all, because some of you have sent me programs that exist in the state, or services that your clients are utilizing that are out of state for drug checking. And what I think is important is for us to get like a 30,000 foot view of everything that is going on, or as much as we can understand it's going on at the state and local level in terms of drug checking, for us to start to help break down some silos, to have some discussions about who's doing what with what data, and what we want to do in service of clients, of people who use drugs, and also community as a whole. What that looks like in terms of drug checking at the state and local level. So this year of like understanding and discussing the current system, trying to, like, I have not named the direction for future system work. That's part of what this group is going to do. And recommendations for drug checking services operating Oregon. Like, if there are folks who are doing drug checking at the street level, we can write recommendations to them. If there are folks that are doing it at like a more community level, or like a interspersed level, I'm thinking like music festivals or law enforcement, or whoever is doing this work, which is part of what we're going to spend the time understanding. We can write recommendations to them about, best practices, or collaborating on data, or whatever that looks like going forward, as like a system in the state. So, and this group really gets to define what that system should look like.
And Mara, in the chat from Haven, does checking in this context include ME data?
Oh yeah. Yes, that's one of the big behind the scenes things that I'm I'm working on is collaborating with all of the agencies that find that do drug checking work. So I know that we had some concern about the wastewater checking folks. I have been, keeping an eye on them, and we have the ability, should they be funded, to provide recommendations to them about health and safety from a harm reduction lens. Like we can. There's nothing that says like this is everything that's going on in the state, and I think that's the opportunity for us to set the table for saying this is what a system looks like in the state of Oregon, which I find incredibly exciting and inspiring. So I hope that that is something that we feel is doable. If not, we can, we can discuss speeding up, slowing down. Like this is my proposed version. So I don't know that I have. Do I have another? Nope, I don't. So let me stop sharing. And oh gosh,
I just wanted to add, note that there's some Blue was also just sharing that, also concerned around the reporting for naloxone. So that sounds like a shared concern and topic to circle back to in April. Go ahead, Haven.
I was just going to ask, can we see the timeline again? I feel like if we're only dedicating 1 month of the year to talk about naloxone, we're not even going to scratch the surface of some of this work that needs to be happening.
yes. Let me open that back up. And I want to make it clear that this is not just going to be like, we're just going to talk about this on this one day and then we're never going to talk about it again. This was just like the overarching conversation for that day. I plan to bring, any updates to every meeting. I plan to have conversations in between meetings. I plan to bring opportunities for engagement outside of committee meetings at any possibility that I can. I think that this is going to be sort of slow going, the naloxone work. So that is why I included it in April. And I think that some of the drug checking and the cross-sector education work is something that we're going to want to have sort of some continuity for. But this is just proposed. So.
Well, I guess my assumption, and maybe I shouldn't have my first thoughts spoken out loud, but is, if it's moving too quickly and we're not able to do it in a thoughtful way, then we shift things around potentially, right? We're setting the table like a really beautiful kind of example of that over many years. And so I think that's probably fine to slow down and shift a little bit if needed, Haven, to your point of if we need more than a month. That makes sense.
I also just want to potentially propose the idea, because I think Haven's onto something, and looking at all the organizations that we're connected to with the ADPC and kind of tackling, understanding what the naloxone has looked like and what we can do moving forward to increase that distribution and make sure that it's being done correctly. What if we did like a April, May naloxone, at least gave us one more month, then we could do June, July, August, September, just kind of giving 2 months for each of those sections. Just an idea.
Elise.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we may need to be a little more flexible because I hope that we'll have all the state agency information. Like, hopefully you guys can kick off naloxone in April. I'm just like hedging our bets a little. And then move into what we've received from the state agencies in May for the discussion. I think that will work. We've never done this state agency financial assessment before. So if everybody can be a little bit flexible, the governor has asked us to produce this by this summer. So hopefully by May we should have it. I just want to be careful, just in case it takes longer than anticipated, but it should work.
And this is not set in stone. Like I said, like this is, all of this is up for grabs. Like if we need to, when I originally had this timeline, like I just had us talking about the name change in January, and then I had like shifted everything up a couple of months. Like I had it all over the place, and then it turned out we needed to have another conversation. So that's, all of this is flexible. I just wanted to give sort of a general idea of the direction that we're going, so that we can see like what we are working on going forward together.
Yeah, it is really nice to see it laid out in a really clear way, knowing that we'll be able to be flexible as we move forward. Mara, is there anything else that you need from this group today as we're all together in order to inform your next steps? I think we're hearing pretty clearly that naloxone is of the utmost importance. And so Mara, I'll let you kind of take that and percolate on how you want to approach the group between now and April to make sure that we're maximizing our April month and then also like shifting the next couple of months after that. But is there anything else that we want to say around the naloxone as a group before we end we're not totally ending today, but before we move on to the public comment? Okay. So potentially some initial assessment of whether we have enough time to really give it the thought that it needs. And then Mara, you'll reach out potentially before April with the pre-work that you do every day on this plan. Any other thoughts or comments from this group? Or Mara, anything that you need between now and the next meeting or between now and April? We definitely have some folks who are interested in the bylaw subcommittee, but anything else that you need related to naloxone, or do you want to kind of percolate on what you've heard today and circle back?
Yeah, so I will definitely be circling back with y'all, but in terms of work that I think the committee is going to do, what I'm going to need from y'all going forward is like the information that you've got about materials. Here, let me get rid of this. Go away. The materials that work to that y'all like for things like naloxone training or drug checking, or like materials and things, best practices for distribution. If these things that you already have, that your organization or agency uses, or that you wish that your organization or agency used for any of these things, naloxone, drug checking, materials and things that are going on around the state, or like if there's another state that's doing something really cool. I've gotten a couple things. I know Blue has sent me some stuff. Haven sent me some stuff about materials that exist in other organizations. This is going to be really important for us to take a look at all of our options, and so then we're not starting from zero. We're starting from like, oh, we have an idea that we want to base our materials off of this, or we want to model our drug checking system off of this state, or whatever that looks like. This like constant conversation, anything that you have that you're like, oh, this would makes sense for Mara to keep in an archive for us to look at when we're talking about drug checking or naloxone, like please send that to me. This is an open request. And also, like, I'm gonna remind you when we get to specific spaces. So like when we're talking about cross-sector education, if there's something that y'all have identified where you're like, we want to talk to dentists. And then I say, okay, dentist, does anybody have any materials that have been disseminated to dentists in the past so that we can either decide we want to push that out or we want to base our own materials off of that? That would be super helpful. So I just want to like lay that groundwork, and I'm going to keep asking this of you after every meeting. So if there's anything that comes to your brain where you're like, Mara would like this, please send it to me, and I will keep it, squirrel it away, and then bring it back to you when it is time. So I think that is my request.
So kind of based on the timeline that you showed us and our main topics, any resources that relate to those, send them your way and you will collate them in the appropriate way and share back with us. Okay, that sounds great. We can put that in the notes too, just to remind folks.
And can I ask what, Haven, I see your note about the recent ADA rulings about harm reduction. I'm glad you brought this up. For folks who aren't aware, in our same circuit, there was a ruling out of Washington protecting folks' status for access to syringe service programs for folks with substance use disorder. Can you say a little bit more about that? Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it's something our disability rights organization has pursued, but we could reach out to maybe national or other state organizations. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes and no. I'm thinking that in part, like, we had conversations as we've come under this new administration around how we chose to prioritize our work, knowing that we are in the timeline that we are in, and we deprioritize syringe access in a way that doesn't feel good in terms of like actual impact around health, but in a way that does feel protective in terms of living under fascism. And I'm curious if is there room for that ruling to help us adjust our plan to reprioritize SSPs before 3 years from now, when hopefully the world is less gross.
Let us think on that and do some reach outs. As I said, right, it's the same circuit we're in. But if our state organizations aren't prioritized, right, let us do some digging. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like, especially for those of us doing direct service work, understanding what is possible. I mean, I can only imagine that ruling had an impact in the legislature around the Senate bill that died in committee. And I think we need to be mindful to leverage the strength that we have if we can.
Thanks, Haven. And thanks, Anne, for the link. That's great. It's helpful. Thank you. Anything else?
I was wondering if
Oh, you're a little bit quiet again. Just scream.
sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I was wondering if we could possibly change our meeting for March to the following Tuesday, the 31st, because it's spring break. I really want to attend, but that's just me. And I understand if I can't attend, if that, I know it's probably a lot to ask, but um,
It's always great to ask, Mara. Maybe we should be thinking about who's going to be here for the spring break meeting, because I bet you're not the only one who's not going to be here.
Yep.
How do we usually handle that?
Look, I will take a look. and see if it sounds like there's a lot of, I see you, Eric, give me just a second. It sounds like there's a few folks on both ends who might not be here. When I say that, I mean my team and this group. So let me take a look. And if we won't have quorum when we talk about this, we might be able to shift some things around, and I can ask some questions of folks after this meeting once I chat with my team and see what the schedule looks like. Because yeah, that, I mean,
I know I'm looking to see. I know there's a way to do like a quick poll, but I'm not. I don't know how to do that, unfortunately.
I don't either.
Because we just have to make sure if we move it to the next Tuesday that we don't lose too many people. So yeah, maybe a quick follow-up with folks, Mara.
Yes, I tried to just do a poll and it tells me I have an invalid token. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I know.
Eric, I see you raise your hand.
Just my 2 cents is that this meeting works best for me if it's on the last Tuesday of the month all the time. I have clinical supervisions with a bunch of people on overlapping this meeting all the weeks before.
Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Does anyone have any final thoughts, questions, concerns? Thank you, Crescencia, for bringing that up. Beautiful. I did not have anybody reach out to me for public comment, but if there's anybody who would like to provide public comment. Counting to 10 in my head.
The longest 10 seconds. All right. So sorry, was that 10 seconds? You're the one counting. I'm just talking. Okay. So then in preparation, we do have some behind the scenes about whether we're meeting in March or not, which of course is gonna, here we're live, we're being flexible live with our timeline because we might be missing a meeting already. But I think some of the follow-up pieces we're to send Mara any resources that you think are important related to those topics. If you are interested in joining the committee to talk through the bylaws before the committee, the subcommittee or the ad hoc committee, let us know. Happy to shift schedules around so that you can attend. And I think that's it between now and the next meeting. Is that right? For this group.
I will be sending out this poll about meeting times and changes, and things like that. But you just said that, so.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Great meeting. Really appreciate it, everyone. Take care.